Great event today, Bill. Thanks for everybody who organized it with Minor Hoffman.
We're ready there, Your Worship.
Ready? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting, November 3rd, 2020. And I would like council, you see before you the agenda, noting there is nothing outside of the kit. Excuse my arm for a second while I grab a little piece of paper. I'd like to call for motion, please, to adopt today's agenda. Moved by Councillor Stoyles and seconded by Councillor Antles. All in favor? And those opposed? Well, thank you very much, Council. We'll move immediately to the first item, which is the minutes from the public meeting, October 20th, 2020. You see before you a record of that meeting, and I'd ask now for any errors or omissions, please. Hearing none, and before we move on to business arising, can I get a motion, please, to adopt the minutes from October 20th? Moved by the Deputy Mayor, thank you, and seconded by Councillor Fry. I'll call the motion. All in favor? Contraminded, and it is carried. Folks, please quote the item number from the minutes or the action report if you have any questions or business arising. Hearing none, I'm prepared to move on if you are, folks. Going once, twice, okay. Now we'll call upon the Corporate Services and Economic Development Committee for their report. I can't see everybody on my screen. Is that Councillor Antle tonight or Councillor Fry?
Myself, Your Worship.
Okay, Councillor Antle, please go ahead.
Yeah, first thing before I bring to the council is invoices for approval. And you can see them there in their kit totaling $223,359.14. It's a small invoices this week. And you can see there one there is for the Go Bus for $32,000. And also look like we're paying our bills for the Richard Lavandier Field for $91,419. And I so move.
And it is moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Fry. Any questions, Council, or comments?
I think there was an updated one that was emailed to us today.
Oh, that's correct. It was. There's a few more added to it, I believe. Is that right, Councillor Fry?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what we're going to motion today. So items 1 to 9 are here. I don't have the email in front of me. I can get it.
I'm taking it out in a hurry.
I got it here.
Okay, would the one member of the committee please update us end through whatever the end is, please?
Okay, the final total is $1,794,441.88. So
And
there are just a couple of additions to it. There are 20 in total. In the kit, there's 9.
Okay. Council, has everybody read those? And we're operating for purposes of the motion. We're operating from that email, and I'd like to thank Councillor Fry for pointing out that there was something outside the kit. Thank you very much.
Well, this one has the addition of some of the construction. So we have Dexter Construction for the Glendale Avenue claim of $151,590, as well as Weir's Construction for Old Placentia Road at $323,846.68. And Modern Paving for Topsail Road at $442,083.93. So that's the majority of this particular one here.
And the revised total is
$1,794,441.88.
Thank you very much. And that is the amount that's put forward by Councillors by Councillors Antle and Fry for purposes of approving the invoices for approval. And without any further ado, unless you have council has a question, I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? Okay, thank you very, very much. And next, Councillor Antle, on to the payment register.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fry, for jumping in there. I guess when I'm running late. for the payment register for the time frame from October the 15th to October the 29th for a total of $135,926.23. And there's no motion there. That's just for your information. Any questions? All right. Good. And number 3, the committee recommends the new RFP for IT security systems to be awarded to Ignite Security. Based on the analysis of the proposal and the assignment of scoring, the overall proposed amount is $40,604.49. HST excluded, and I so move.
It is
And-
moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Fry.
And this here is no difference. We're just changing companies. It's the same amount that we paid before, right? We just moved from one company to another. It's the exact same amount.
Any thoughts, council, before we call the motion? Okay, hearing no feedback, I'll call the motion. All in favor? Those opposed? And carried.
And also we have in your kit there a tax deferral that we always do this for our low income earners. There's 5 there you can see in your kit. And without going through them all, we do this every single year, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antle again, and also seconded by Councillor Fry. Thoughts? This is a pretty standard thing that we do,
Yeah.
folks. That it's part of our tax policy, and but it also has to be approved by council. All right, all in favor? And those opposed? Motion is carried.
And that's it for our worship.
Okay, thank you. And of course, now we go to the Community Development Committee report, and it's the same members of council, but I'm thinking, Councillor Fry, you're going to be taking the lead. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Worship.
Yes, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. First on our agenda is an order issued for ratification. Now, this is for Overhead Door Newfoundland and Labrador Limited, located at 99 Clyde Avenue. And they constructed an accessory building without a permit or approval. And it was determined that the building under construction does not meet the National Building Code of Canada or the City of Mount Pearl building regulations of 2019. So an order was issued on October the 22nd of 2020. And the committee recommends approval to ratify the stop work order issued to Overhead Door Newfoundland Limited, located at 99 Clyde Avenue, pursuant to Section 109 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Antle, and this is a
Question.
order already issued. Oh, yes, Councillor Stoyles, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just had a question. Overhead doors have been in that location for, I say, pretty close to 20 years. I'm assuming that our staff have met with them. And I mean, sometimes when it doesn't meet code, they can, it says they have the accessory building removed. I have not seen it and have not gone up, have not talked to nobody, but I know Mr. Squires, Mr. Squires Senior, who passed away, that started the company back a number of years ago. And I understand his son is running the company now. I'm just wondering if it's something he can do rather than remove the building. If it don't meet code, I certainly support that we have to do whatever that is within policy. I just want to make sure that he has been contacted and all avenues have been done for him to be able to, I'm assuming he's able to put an accessory building on his land up there. I just want to make sure that we're, meeting with.
I'm going to ask the director to respond, Councillor Stoyles, but there was an inspection, I believe, on October 19th, and the order was issued with council's oversight, I believe, on the 22nd of October. This is a ratification here tonight. Director Collins, can you shed some light on Councillor Stoyles' concerns?
Yes, there was a meeting even as up until this morning. So staff have been in constant communication with Overhead Doors and Mr. Squires and continue to work through it. But this order is here for ratification. It was issued because the accessory building was not built to code.
So does that mean it has to be completely tore down? Or does that mean we could also receive a proposal to renovate / rebuild the building as long as it meets the requirements?
Based on what's there now, I think some of it's going to have to be removed. If I recall correctly, this was actually built using some existing containers, things like that. And there was trusses put there, so it certainly would not meet building code.
So council, this appears to be a safety issue as much as anything. Councillor Stoyles, so do you have any further commentary or questions?
No, I just want to make sure, because the business have been there well in 20 years, I just want to make sure that, we're, working with the business owner, and if it got to be torn down, or part of it got to be torn down, just want to make sure that, the city is, and I know we would be anyway, just wanted, because I understand the business is there 20 years or longer, want to make sure that, everything is being done to work with them, and I'm assuming it is.
And like I said, I can confirm that a meeting was held even up until this morning.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. Any further comment from council before the vote? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And anybody opposed? Thank you. Unanimously carried.
That's a fair question, Councillor Stoyles. Okay, next on our agenda is we recommend the approval of an application by Jeff Furlong on behalf of Mesa Greens to operate a home occupation at 23 Blake Crescent to accommodate a small-scale indoor urban agricultural business, and further recommends that a development permit be issued subject to any applicable conditions as noticed in the Planning Division report dated October the 26th. So the background information on the file of 23 Blake Crescent is attached here for your reference. It's a small business in a residential neighborhood, but there's going to be no traffic coming and going, so it shouldn't have any impact on the neighboring residents whatsoever. And if there are no questions, then I will move this to be accepted.
Well, hearing none, I'm going to table the resolution on your behalf. Councillor Fry has tabled it and Councillor Antle is seconding it. Council, any further comments? Looks like we went through a fairly, standard but robust public consultation to identify the issues that are before you, Council.
The process was advertised, and there was some feedback from residents with I guess very legitimate concerns, but in this particular case, because it's not a business, it's going to be having business customers coming and going. There won't be any impact to the residents.
Okay, thank you. I'll call the question. All in favor? And contrary-minded, and motion has been carried. Thanks.
Okay, next we have our swimming lessons registration, which opened today, and registration for public. The registration dates for swimming lessons is as follows. Mount Pearl residents is today at 5 p.m. and then the rest can register on November the 5th at 5 p.m. The session dates commencing on November the 8th are noted on the city's website. And again, because of COVID, we have fewer lessons available, but we have maximized everything we can to get the most available. And it's going to be at a smaller number, but certainly the same quality as we always have. And that's just for the information of the public. And next we have our development permit listing. The committee recommends that the following development permit be approved as presented for the period of October the 19th to the 30th. And there are 3 here listed in your kit. We have Carrick Engineering and Building Extension. We have Rogue Penguin Creative for a home office. And we have Campion Gymnastics for interior renovations.
It is moved by Councillor Fry, second by Councillor Antle. Any comments about permits, the 3 permits that you see there? All right, Council, I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And motion carried. Thanks.
Okay, next we recommend that the building permits issued for the period of October the 19th to October the 30th, showing a total construction value of $571,650 to be approved. And further, that the occupancy permit listed be accepted as presented. And again, those are here in your kit.
And moved by Councillor Fry, second by Councillor Antle. We have residential, commercial, and also occupancy permits. And I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And they are all carried. Thank you.
And that's it for community development and planning this evening, Your Worship.
Well done. Thank you very, very much. Infrastructure and Public Works. Leading off today is Deputy Mayor Locke. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take the lead today, Your Worship, and then Councillor Stoyles will do the remaining two. I'm just trying to get the chill out of my body from our recent session up at the glacier. So my voice is a little raspy. I've noticed after being out in the cold for a little bit, but I'll try to get through it. Your Worship, the first one here is a recommended change order for the pedestrian walkway underpass remediations along Old Placentia Road. And this particular project has to do with the underpass that goes from Ashford Drive across Old Placentia, underneath Old Placentia, and comes out there by the track and field facility. Back in June, we approved the awarding of the contract for this work to Dillon Consulting Limited in the amount of $65,211, and that is inclusive of HST. And then later on in September, on the 8th of September, we approved change order number 1 to the contract for the completion of a structural load rating study to determine whether traffic restrictions should be implemented on Old Placentia Road, and as well as a completion of the design detailed and the development of a cost estimate for emergency shoring works that the consultant recommended to be installed as soon as practically possible. And again, Your Worship, just for a review, we had an assessment of our underpasses here, and there were some deficiencies identified in this particular one. So we proceeded with work to remediate that. Since that second change order the change order on number 1 on September the 8th, it has since been identified that a topographic survey is required to optimize detailed design infill option. And that's required to optimize the detailed design for partial concrete infilling repair, and to take advantage of any improvements that the consultant can make for the drainage through the structure, as well as provide insight into the road safety aspects of the design as noted in the preliminary report. The cost of this most recent change order, Your Worship, is $2,012.50. This includes HST, and it's within the limits for staff to authorize the work to proceed, but it had to be brought forward to council for the information and for ratification. So we're recommending approval, change order number 2 to the contract awarded to Dillon Consulting Limited for, again, the pedestrian walkway underpass remediations on Old Placentia Road for a topographic survey in the amount of $2,012.50, including HST, and I so move.
It
Second.
is moved by the Deputy Mayor, and thank you, and moved by second by Councillor Stoyles. Any questions, Council? For RCO number 2, topographic survey. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded, and thank you. Motion carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. The next item for our committee has to do with some proposed applications to the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, the ICIP. The deadline for our applications, Your Worship, is November the 13th of this year. So the committee is recommending approval to submit the following 3 applications for funding to the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program. The first one here, the name of the project is Olympic Drive Area Package. And again, this is a proposed package that we're submitting. The scope of this work includes Smallwood Drive from Old Placentia Road to Athens Place, Olympic Drive, and Athens Place. And these 3 streets would involve the upgrade to storm, asphalt, sidewalk, as well as curb and gutter. This particular project would also include Lauman Place and Surin Place, which would involve asphalt, sidewalk, and curb and gutter. And the 6th component of this particular proposed project is Smallwood Drive from Old Placentia Road to Commonwealth, and that would involve asphalt resurfacing, sidewalk, and curb and gutter. So that's the scope of the first project that we're proposing to submit, and that's at a cost, Your Worship, of $5.1 million. The next proposed project is a new community center at the Team Gouju Recreational Complex. This would be for a new facility. It would be design build, procurement to design and construct a new 13,000 square foot facility at an estimated cost of $5 million. And our third application, the project would involve some work on Jackman Drive, full replacement and upgrading, including water, storm, sanitary, asphalt, sidewalk, and curb and gutter. So again, these are three proposals that we're going to submit under the new ISIP program. And we're recommending that we proceed with that, and I so move.
Second,
It is moved by the deputy mayor and second by Councillor Stoyles. And of course, even though it's obvious it's a new community center, which we have to do a bit more work in terms of feasibility, but it's to replace Park Place, Deputy Mayor, which I think
Yes.
is showing its age, and much like you see for Jackman Drive and some of the other streets that you mentioned, the cost of repair is getting a little bit high, and it's time to replace, according to our asset management schedule, start to replace not just streets and services, but also in this particular case, a building that's very, very quite old. I think it was built in the 50s, as many of the Legion buildings were here, in Newfoundland, as a matter of fact, probably all the way across the country. So do you think we're going to get all three of these approved, I wonder? Or is this, this clearly is not a shopping list. This is very much meets the needs of the city of Mount Pearl. But I guess our priorities are streets and related services, as well as building within our community again. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, that would be fair, Your Worship. The likelihood of getting three approved, that would be great if we did. But these were ones that we deemed through our asset management, as well as through our recreational master plan that we've conducted here in terms of identifying needs within the community. So these projects would be very much in line with that research. I think Councillor Stoyles wanted to have a comment there as well, Your Worship.
Yeah, Councillor Stoyles. Yes, Councillor Stoyles, please go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, I'm wondering if we could, it's the way they're in order now is Olympic Drive says 1, and number 2 is the community centre, and 3 is the Jackman Drive project. Obviously, I don't think we've never ever gotten that much money out of this program. I would like to see us privatise it, and the community centre, in my opinion, it would be the higher priority. And looking at what we've spent over the past number of years, and I've asked for a copy of the information on how much we've spent on roads and on facilities over the past 10 years. And of course, on roads from 2010 to 2017, we spent 38.9. And from 2018 to 2020, we spent 35 million. So that's an average of, from 2018 to 2020, we spent 11.8 million. And from 2010 to 2017, we spent 4.7 million. Now, we understand that last year and this year, we certainly did get a really good price on pavement and work like that. So obviously we spent a lot more of our tax money, our gas tax money than we normally would spend, because we have until 2021 to spend it. But because we got such a good price on the concrete, obviously we went and done more work, because we don't know what the prices are going to be like next year. And over the history of the grants that we get, normally we would get, I'm going to say, anywhere between 3.4 and 3.5 every year. So each of the projects we're highlighting there is over $5 million. So if we get one of those approved, I would imagine that's all we're going to get approved. And of course, I mentioned the road work in our facilities in 2010 to 2017, we spent $60 million. But that was when we did the second part of the glacier in the men's softball and the Campia Gymnastics building. And from 2018 to 2020, we only spent 1.7 million. So, yeah, no doubt over the past 3 years, we've spent a lot more money in road work. And there's always a need in our city, in any city, for road work. So I would like to see us prioritize it. And I think the community centre is a big need. Park Place has been costing us a lot of money, and in my opinion, fallen down. It's an old building, and it's something we really need to consider replacing. And if we don't do it out of this funding, it certainly needs to be a priority, in my opinion, in the next year. That's all I want to say, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Any other member of council? Councillor Fry or Councillor Antle, would you like to chime in?
Just a couple of quick comments. I certainly, it's great to see that we're applying for this funding. None of it's guaranteed, and I understand what Council Stolz is saying, that none of it's guaranteed. And the community center is a priority within the city of Mount Pearl, but so are our roads. I don't know if we can put a priority one over the other. You know, they're both just as important, and I think they come from two different pots of money, if I remember correctly. I think when we apply for funds, we apply for roads, which is one pot of money, and we apply for community centers and that type of thing out of another pot of money. So it's two different pots of money, if I remember correctly. And it's really hard to say, well, we're not going to do road work. Road work is very important within the city of Mount Pearl. And my opinion is that, you know, we have to do road work. You know, it's a priority. I mean, we're looking at these streets and using asset management. We know that we're going to have troubles in that area. So I'm hoping that, maybe you can clarify, Your Worship, is this from two different pots? Like, this is the $5 million for the community center comes out of a different pot as a $5 million for roads and infrastructure.
I have the perfect individual to ask that question to. I believe Director Antle best position, who is also a member of the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee. Director Antle?
Yes, thanks. That is correct. So there's two categories of funding. Two of our projects are considered green infrastructure, and that's the category of water and sewer. And the other project, the community center, is category community culture and recreation. So there's two different categories, and I take it if council wishes to. But at this point in time, you'd have a number one priority in community culture and recreation will be the community center. It's the only one. And then out of the other two, you can rank them 1 and 2. Based on our asset management approach, the number one is Olympic Drive, and number 2 will be Jackman Drive. And if I add, Your Worship, and maybe the Deputy Mayor might have caught my note there, the corrected estimate, Deputy Mayor, you'll reflect that for Jackman Drive, please.
Sure. The estimate is 4.5 million, and not the 5.3 million that I reported in the report here. So it should be 4.5 million.
So
just
noted.
a point.
The clerk has made a note of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do believe the will of council is to make streets and services, as well as the replacement for Park Place, to make that a priority for this council and for our city. And so right now we're dealing with perhaps a source of money known as the Investment in Canadian Infrastructure Program. There are other sources of money perhaps that may evolve to, for example, multi-year capital, maybe another option. So I believe by indicating, our priority is both the community center as well as the streets and services you see listed there. I believe we're telling the community what we feel our priorities are. And to Councillor Stoyle's point, the community center is long overdue to meet the needs of many of our community organizations, including our seniors, as well as our community groups. Park Place is on its last legs. The way it's built is very inaccessible. It's old. I think we've had issues with the foundation. Certainly you've had issues with the roof. And, naturally the location that it's built on is not really conducive to making it accessible for all members of the community. So Councillor Stoyle's point, I believe the community center, yes, is a priority of council, and it gets slotted into that program known as community infrastructure, and then the streets and services do as well. So we'll have to work as a council to come up with backup plans, because to Councillor Stoyle's point, we will probably not get all three of these approved, and council needs to establish its own direction in terms of what the plan Bs are and the plan Cs. And I don't mean that they're secondary plans, but if we get some money under ICIP to build roads, or we get some to build the community center, we'll always, as we always do, look at our priorities and have to come up with the right and the appropriate funding source at the time. Fair enough?
Yeah, I think Councillor Fry had a comment, Your Worship.
I only see 4 on the screen. Councillor Fry.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to say I fully support Councillor Stoyles. I think our community in Mount Pearl, we have so much to be proud of. And a big part of that is because of our community groups and the good work that they do, and because of our vibrant seniors community. So not to take away from the importance of roads, very important, but I fully support our number one priority being a community center, because our Park Place is where most of our community groups meet, and it's not where we need to be, to your point, Mayor. So I just wanted to throw my support behind Councillor Stoyles in her priority of the community center.
So the application, council, this is only the approval of an application, and I guess there will be further feedback and conversations with the provincial government or MHAs, and ideally with our MP going forward. But it's nice to establish, within council, and also it's nice to establish the message for the community that it's a priority for us to replace Park Place. So I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded and carried. Thank you. Next.
And that's it for me, Your Worship. I'll turn it over to Councillor Stoyles to finish up the Infrastructure Public Works Committee report.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Stoyles, please.
And thank you. We just have an update on the various activities that's going on in Public Works. Web Place Playground is just about completed. There's a couple of little spring toys to be put there. I don't know if they were put there this week. They're already arrived here at the city, so hopefully they're already in place. And basically our staff has been working, wrapping up all the flowers and trees and cutting back the trailway. The wood chopper is in operation. And of course, some of us were down to the Richard Lavanier field and had a picture done. The field is done and starting to look good. They cut the grass and everything on it. I missed the picture. I had a meeting that afternoon and wasn't able to attend, but I understand it was a good event. The curb and gutter work is continued, and of course we're working on our winter fleet and getting ready. Last week we had a little bit of snow on the weekend on Saturday and just a few snowflakes, but the winter is coming, and our crew is preparing for that. As Director Randall would say, they're flat out. Leak detection work is ongoing, and the shift, the supervisor foreman shift will start on November the 9th, and the crews and everything will start on November the 16th. And the capital work projects, Topsail Road, Old Placentia Road is almost complete. So hopefully everybody will be off of the road and have everything done with that in the next week or so. And St. David's Park, the line is the new 2-inch line is installed and everything should be completed there. So hopefully all our summer projects will be finished for this year, and nothing else hopefully won't be starting until hopefully by May or June. April or May we'll be back in the swing of things back, because there's a lot of carryover projects that didn't get completed this year that will continue on in March or April when spring comes and the weather is good. And that is it for us.
Well,
Your Worship, if I could just jump in for one other thing that I would like to add there, just for the notice of the public, that work on the Commonwealth Avenue Bridge, there's some missing asphalt there. That's going to start this Thursday. So just to give residents the heads up there that we are proceeding to have that repaired. Hopefully the winter doesn't set in, as Councillor Stoyles said, too soon. But our objective is to have that done for the winter, because it is quite a dip there and it could cause some potential damage. So we will be proceeding with that on Thursday, weather permitting. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Director Antolon. To the Deputy Mayor's point about the bridge, I think we've all agreed it'll be 2 single lanes in each direction. Will always be open during, I'll call it the 8 to 5 time frame of the day, and all 3 lanes will be open overnight. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And our crews are doing that work, eh?
It's a combination of our crews, and we've got a contractor involved to do some waterproofing on the patch areas of the bridge.
Well, give our best to the crews. We've had some positive experiences with Commonwealth Avenue, but as you know, we've had some trials and tribulations with Commonwealth Avenue in the past. But I understand this work needs to get done, and if we don't get it done now, we're going to be in for a rough winter. So mention to the crews, we really appreciate what they're doing for us, and let's hope we can get her done within the next 10 days or so, weather permitting. So thank you very much, Director, and thank you everybody for the committee reports tonight. I'm going to turn now to the round table, And I believe starting tonight will be Councillor Antle, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. I never know who's going to be first or last, so I just sit back and wait. It's like the roulette wheel. All right. It's always been quite interesting. Just a couple of things. We certainly have been a busy council in the past week and a half or 2 weeks, even though we're social distancing and we're very COVID friendly. There's lots of things happening within the city of Mount Pearl. And just this past week, we all got together with the Mount Pearl Soccer Association, where they met with their alumni, the soccer alumni. And when I say we met with the association, we met with about 15 or 16 people, and we were social distancing down to the soccer hut, and that was on October the 26th. And, you know, even though we're not getting out much, it's good to get out and have a quick chat and talk to the soccer alumni. They did so much for the city of Mount Pearl, and it's great to sit down and have a quick gab. We're not getting around too much. Also, we all heard news this week about the Frosty Festival was being cancelled this year. You know, and even though it's very saddened to hear that the Frosty Festival has been cancelled, you know, as I'm going around, most of the residents I talk to think, you know, they understand exactly why we cancelled it. You know, we have to stay safe. You know, safety is paramount, and, you know, it makes things bigger and better for next year. You know, it's a hard thing to do, but I think they made a right decision. And as Deputy Mayor said earlier on this afternoon, we met with the Mount Pearl Minor Hockey. And Mount Pearl Minor Hockey here in the city of Mount Pearl have been doing their food drives. And they've been doing it for about 8 or 9 years. They used to call it the Big Give. And this is a big food drive. They supply most of the food for the food banks within the city for the winter months. And this year it was no different, but we tried to figure out how they were trying to figure, they were trying to consider how they could do it this year the right way. They can't knock on doors. They can't have kids knocking on doors, picking up cans. Volunteers, you know, when you bring the food back to the food bank, the volunteers don't want to handle the food. You know, we always got to keep safety front and foremost. So this year, the Mount Pearl Minor Hockey got together and they came up with an idea this year. They're going to have a fundraiser. And this fundraiser in the city is going to start on Saturday, November the 7th. And it runs from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And what happens this year is the kids are going to be on the parking lot with their jerseys on, practicing social distancing. Right? We have 4 parking lots. We have the Glacier parking lot. We have the Pentecostal Church on Park Avenue, the Church of Ascension on Smallwood Drive, and the Church of the Good Shepherd over on Richard Nolan. And how this is going to work is you'll drive into the parking lot and the kids are there with their buckets and with their hockey sticks, and we can drop in toonies or loonies or whatever change you have in your pocket. And all this money goes directly to the food banks. And, you know, we were talking to the food banks and they're getting a huge demand right now on the food banks, and they consider it's going to get worse. So, you know, it looks like, you know, we don't have ways to get to the food bank this year. So I hope that all residents, if you can, it's called Hockey with Heart. And our minor hockey players are really looking forward to doing whatever they can to help out the food banks. And that was why we were this afternoon. We stood up outside in the parking lot and it was nice and warm, and we're getting good at it. Also, just on a quick note, we had Halloween last week, and as we have every October 31st, but this year was a little bit different because of COVID. And one of the churches, I mean, many of the churches here in Mount Pearl did do different things, but the Solid Rock Wesleyan Church had a trunk and treat last Saturday afternoon, and I dropped by, and it was amazing. This was a trunk and treat, and I was talking to Pastor Peter Hayes, and they had over 120 kids going by just in the trunks, and they had games, and it was a lot of fun. It was something that they're going to look forward to again next year. And just now I got to put on my glasses because I got to. We're in the middle now of our budget consultations. Every second Tuesday we get together as council and we go over our budget, and we try to. It's been eye-opening every year. You know, we go line by line by line. And no different this year. But on November 17th, we're inviting the business community to drop by. You have to register. There's only so many spots available. But we'd like the business community to drop in. It's at Mount Pearl Soccer Hut from 8:30 to 10 a.m. And we'd like to hear what they have to say. You know, it just gives us an idea exactly what you're thinking, some innovative ideas, and we can bring that to the budget table. We already have invitations out. Our economic development team has sent out invitations to most of the business here in Mount Pearl. You can also visit our website, mountpearl.ca, If you want to register, you can contact any member or council. That's again, it's November 17th, and it's the Mount Pearl Soccer Hut, and it starts 8:30 in the morning. It just runs for about an hour and a half. And you can sit down and you can give us some ideas of where you'd like to see the city run for the next year. And that's everything from me, Your Worship.
Well, thank you very much, Councillor Ranto. And I'm going to move now to Councillor Stoyles, please.
Thank you. I wanted to also mention that I attended Eastern Waste Management meeting, and of course, the couple of items related to us here in Mount Pearl is the fee structure. The $180 fee per household is not going to change in 2021, but last year they proposed a fee for the tipping fee from 67 to 75, and that was going to go up for the next number of years, but because of COVID they delayed it a year, so that fee is going to go up from 67.60 a ton to $75 a ton. And I just wanted to inform our council of that, and that's just for information. They will be sending out a letter to all the municipalities informing them, and of course it's also on their website. And also on Sunday evening, I attended Drop Off Your Pumpkin evening on Sunday evening. There wasn't as big a crowd there this year. It was the second year we did it, and I went by on Sunday evening for a short period of time because I had another meeting at 7:30 with the Kinets, but they did have, a nice few people coming and going, and I want to say hats off to the staff who organized this, because it's certainly something worthwhile for residents that they can drop off the pumpkin. And of course, as Councillor Ranto mentioned, the food drive that's taking place by the minor hockey, they've done this now for 9 years, and this of course is going to be a different year. And I know the Mount Pearl Connect Club is going to be doing the turkey drive for the food bank again, and we will have information on that in the next couple of weeks. But that's going to take place probably the first week in December. I think they're looking at and because of COVID, we can't go into the store and get collect turkeys like we have in the past. So it's a different year. So anybody that wants to make a mandatory donation or would like to make a mandatory donation, they can also do it, go into the Hockey Blades webpage, and you can just send an email transfer and make a donation as well. So it's certainly a worthwhile cause. And Your Worship, I wanted to pass along my sympathies to a number of families who've lost loved ones here in our city. Ben Dunn passed away, and of course everybody knew Ben from all the volunteer work and his activities with the running and everything. And I attended the service for Ben last week. Also, Cyril Noseworthy passed away, and Cyril was also a great volunteer here within our city. And Claude Cruz, another resident of our city, passed away, and wanted to pass along our sympathies to him. And Elizabeth Lane passed away. Elizabeth lived in St. John's, but she's the sister-in-law of Paul Lane. And again, sympathies to all those families. And that is it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stoyles. I'm going to move over now to the Deputy Mayor, please. Jim Lott.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple. First off, I'd like to as well acknowledge the folks at Mount Pearl Minor Hockey Association. And I know Councillor Ranto spoke very eloquently about their food drive and the great work they do. We do know about the increased needs at the food bank, but at the event today, they did mention the impact that it has on the children and the modeling of the behavior. The city of Mount Pearl is known for our community spirit and looking out for each other and helping one another out when in need. So it's just it's nice to see, and kudos to the adults and the organizers for doing this, for modeling this behavior, and to all the young children that are so eager and excited every year to go out and help. So again, I just hope we get a lot of residents out to make the financial donations, because as we all know, there's still a lot of need within our community. Councillor Stoyles did mention, the condolences there. I just wanted to echo those and mention Mr. Ben Dunn. Mr. Dunn taught me in high school as a phys ed teacher, and he ran some of our hockey practices, and man, he was in phenomenal shape. but he was always a kindred spirit and always available to have a chat and give guidance and give opinions on that. So again, my condolences to the family. Finally, for me, Your Worship, I just want to mention that on November the 6th, one of our residents, Miss Maybe, Maud Maybe, she turns 100 years old. So I know Councillor Andrew was saying that she was gearing up for a great big celebration. Unfortunately, COVID is going to prevent that, but there's still going to be celebrations. I know her son Ross and other family are planning a big event up at Hillcrest. And I know council is going to try to get there as well and sing her a big happy birthday. So I just want to extend on behalf of the residents, and I know all my colleagues on council, a very happy 100th birthday to Miss Maud Maybe. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Fry, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I'm not going to repeat everything that my colleagues have said so well, but there are just a couple of things I wanted to add. On October the 26th was the most recent meeting with Eastern Health and the Northeast Avalon Joint Council, and it was the touch point regarding COVID. And just a couple of interesting things here. Over 50,000 people so far have been tested for COVID in Newfoundland and Labrador. And because the symptoms are so close from COVID and the flu, they're really pushing to have the majority of people vaccinated with the flu vaccine. They are aiming to have 85% of the population vaccinated. So they've asked that we encourage all of our residents to get out and get the flu shot, especially this year. I too would also like to mention the Mount Pearl Soccer Association, and congratulations on a successful season, despite all of the COVID and the hard times that we've had. They have done fantastic. They have a great group of volunteers, and I just wanted to congratulate them on a successful season and thank them for all they did this past summer. On Friday, October the 30th, our Mount Pearl Cadets made a donation to the Iris Kirby House. And you will probably recall there was a fundraiser called Hearts for Hope that the Mount Pearl Cadets did during COVID. And this is just one of the projects that they did. And they delivered a bunch of baskets full of household items and toiletries to the Iris Kirby House. But one of the things, while I was there, I had the pleasure of talking to one of the workers there, and it really touched me because we were talking about domestic violence, and I remembered on a call I did not that long ago, Statistics Canada reported that 1 in 10 women were very or extremely concerned about violence in their home. And she was telling me about some of the statistics and things within our province. And while it's not something that's talked about a lot, I think it's important to talk about. And I did a bit of research, and according to a CBC article on March the 5th, there are over 100,000 victims of domestic violence each year, and 90 people die annually at the hands of their abuser. 90 people die, and now this is Canadian-wide, but 90 people die at the hands of their abuser. And it got me thinking about our own Courtney Lake, who was a victim of domestic violence. And, when we think about it here in the province, it's not something that we want to talk about, but there's also a new province-wide phone number right now. It's province-wide 24/7, a domestic violence support line. And you can call or text, and that number is 1-888-709-7090. So it's 1-888-709-7090. And that is local. That goes directly here to a person in Newfoundland and Labrador. So if anybody needs to call or text, or if you know of somebody who you might be concerned for, that is a local number to call province-wide 24/7. On another note, a better note, I would also like to encourage people to get out for a food drive on November the 7th and to send a sincere thank you to the Mount Pearl Minor Hockey Association. They are tremendous in helping our food banks. We have 3 food banks in our city. alone. And under normal circumstances, our city days, our Frosty Festival events will all bring in a non-perishable food item that helps sustain our community food banks. But now with the cancellation of a lot of our events, not only is the need there, but the measures are not in place to fill the shelves. So the need is growing, but the reserves are dwindling. So I want to thank the Mount Pearl Minor Hockey Association for doing this and for being creative in a time of COVID when the possibility of going door to door is no longer an option. So that's, I encourage everybody to get out. I mean, I can guarantee you there are people over Christmas who have to make a decision as to whether or not they're going to buy a Christmas gift or whether or not they're going to pay the power bill or whether or not they're going to have their Christmas dinner. And I know that the majority of parents and grandparents will pass on a Christmas dinner to be able to provide a Christmas gift to their child. So the need is there, and I encourage everybody to get out and support those in our community who could use a little bit of Christmas cheer and a hand at Christmas. And thank you to the food banks as well for all the work that they do and the volunteers. And finally, for me, I just wanted to also offer condolences to, there's Roma Garland passed away on October the 24th, and to her family and friends, her daughter Heather and her brother Larry and other family and friends. And also to a gentleman that I got to know during my time on council. I had the privilege of getting to know him, Ross Brinson. And Ross was the president of the Cloverbrae Condo Association. And he became a friend, and he did a lot of work for the residents, and he was always fighting for Cloverbrae. And he will be missed. So my condolences to his family. And that is it for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Folks, I've gone through my list, and I think every one of you has touched on everything. And I just wanted to close by saying, you know, it's been a very busy couple of weeks. The community is very active. It seems everybody is adapting to COVID like we are, our families are, and our community is. But yes, because of COVID, there are many in our community who might get left behind. So it's nice to start thinking outside the box and find new ways of fundraising and still doing food drives. And you know, there's a few events being canceled in the city that, for example, the Frosty Festival and the Lions Club Christmas Parade that ordinarily would provide lots of food for the food banks. But it's nice to see there's lots of volunteers with Mount Pearl Minor Hockey and throughout our fine community. And also, you know, lots of energy in those that run the food bank. So I think that's a nice move going forward. Council, we're going to meet with the Legion tomorrow afternoon. We're going to raise the poppy flag here in Mount Pearl, and I think it'll be a time to talk with the Legion about what the Remembrance Day ceremony is going to look like on November 11th. And also talk about some of the challenges that the Legion is having with the Poppy campaign this year. Again, you can't put people in all the stores to basically to manage the kettles or the boxes, as you would say. So again, we've got to start thinking outside the box and help the Legion to promote the Poppy campaign, which goes to you know, assisting veterans as well as towards I believe the upkeep of legions across the country. So that'll be tomorrow afternoon. And on that note, I'm going to close. It's been a very productive meeting. We'll do committee of the whole in about 20 minutes time. And in closing, I'll ask for a motion, please, to adjourn the meeting, and moved by Councillor Stoyles and second by Councillor Fry. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you in 20 minutes.